The nocturnal primate species is sadly endangered. In native Madagascar, they are seen as a bad omen, and so people often kill them.
How do you tickle?
Some baby animals are adorable. Others are just plain bizarre. But what if I told you there's a puggle that can gain 20% of its weight in one meal?
It just sucks milk because the mother doesn't have any teats.
A bat pup that hangs upside down from birth, and a deep-sea octopus that looks like it swam straight out of a Disney movie.
Oh, I love your little ears, buddy. They're so cute.
You're about to meet the 15 weirdest baby animals you never knew existed. Wait until you see number 3. It will blow your mind. Number 15. Echidna puggle. These little guys may look like a wrinkled fruit, but they are harmless, really. They are born with rough, wrinkly skin, which is quite odd for a creature that came from an egg. When a puggle hatches, after about 10 days in the egg, it's really tiny, about the size of a jellybean. It is also blind, furless, and semi-translucent. And because mother echidnas don't have nipples, newborns have to suckle milk from milk patches. These are specific areas on the mom's skin full of pores that the puggle latches on and feeds from. While still in the pouch, around 6 to 8 weeks old, they begin to grow their spines. Once those spines grow enough to poke the mother, she moves the puggle to a safer nursery burrow. After that, she visits every 5 to 10 days to feed it until it's weaned, and that happens after about 7 months. However, the most interesting thing about them is they have been observed to bulk up by about 20% after a single feeding session. That means about 40% of the milk they take in is immediately converted into body mass. Guess they're not so weird after all. Number 14. Honduran white bat pup. As adults, white bats are already unique. I mean, just look at their soft white fur, bright yellow nose, ears, and lips. But their pups? They're completely out of this world. Just like many other animal babies, they're born blind and furless, and they completely rely on their mom's warmth and milk, snug in tents built from leaves. The Honduran white bat, in particular, develops fast. After about 35 days, they look almost identical to adults, the same creamy fur and the same charming yellow features. Bat pups are also born to hang, literally. They cling to their mom upside down as she roosts or flies off for food, and sometimes they might even babble to their mom. In some species, these little calls help pups learn from their mothers. A lot like human babies, isn't it? After a few weeks, they start fidgeting with their wings, and before you know it, they start to fly on their own. Number 13. Baby gobi jerboa. The gobi jerboa is a rather funny creature. Its legs are extra long, and its ears are almost as large as its entire body. The fact that its fur and pigmentation are absent, and its eyes and ears are sealed tight, and this just makes it completely defenseless in that first stage of life. The long hind legs and tufted tail we see in adults only develop gradually, and as they grow, this little critter turns from a bean-sized blind pup into a hopping little thing. These adaptations are what give jerboas their kangaroo-like bounce and help with balance, as well as camouflage in the sandy gobi habitat where they're usually found. From the get-go, these pups rely entirely on mom. They start off dragging themselves around with their front limbs. Only around week 11 do their legs lengthen enough for that signature jerboa jump, and they won't reach sexual maturity until roughly week 14. And since their early days are all about stealth and warmth, they have to be hidden safely in burrows. Adults have to dig simple tunnels that become cool, secure hideouts for these pups. So they stay tucked in, growing slow and steady, while mom makes nighttime deliveries of milk and protection. Once they're ready, they adopt full-on saltatorial locomotion, or in simpler terms, hopping, and use their elongated legs, cannon-bone feet, and long tails to make those energetic leaps. Number 12. Aardvark. Right from birth, baby aardvarks are hairless, with pink wrinkled skin and droopy ears that won't stand up properly until a few weeks in. They weigh just about 2 pounds, and their eyes are either closed at birth or open but tiny and unsteady. Either way, they are really vulnerable and completely dependent on their mother. Over the first few weeks, they grow fur, usually starting around 5 to 6 weeks old, and their ears begin to stand upright. Within their first year, they already start to look like adults. Newborn cubs spend their earliest weeks within their mother's burrow, eating and growing stronger by the day. By 2 weeks, many of them are brave enough to join their parents on nighttime foraging adventures. She sniffs out termites and ants, while the pups just eat them. Around 9 weeks, these little explorers begin sampling solid food, termites to be precise. Soon after, they begin practicing their digging moves and learning to burrow just like mom. Just 6 months in, and many cubs are digging their own burrows, although some of them would rather just stick around with mom until she gives birth again. Number 11. Baby pangolin. At birth, a pangolin is just about 6 inches long and roughly 3/4 of a pound. That's just about the size of your hand. The adults look like living pine cones, but at birth, their scales are soft, pink, and gentle. But don't worry, they harden after just a couple of days. For the first few weeks, they ride on their mother's back or tail, and when danger strikes, the mother can quickly curl up into a tight ball and tuck her pup safely underneath her scales for protection.
Can you see the little dribble going all the way down his belly? I've bottle fed a lot of baby animals in my time, but yeah.
Behavior-wise, their early life is all about staying fed and safe. Mothers keep them in burrows or tree hollows so that they can be nursed for months. Around 1 month in, the little ones start trying to nibble on ants and termites themselves and learn to forage all while still relying on mom for milk. They stay close for about 2 years, and when they're big and capable enough, they go solo. This ultimately means that they have reached maturity and can start families of their own. However, different species tweak the timeline a bit. For instance, the Chinese pangolin, when born, tends to weigh around about 5 pounds. They're born with soft scales, start walking pretty much immediately, and stick to mom's tail as well. Meanwhile, the white-bellied pangolin carries its young the same way. The soft scales firm up quickly, and weaning ends after about 3 months. Number 10. Jellybean Joey. A jellybean joey is just a baby kangaroo with a fancy nickname because it arrives in the size of, well, a jelly bean. It could as well be one of the most vulnerable pups out there because it is born super underdeveloped, just an inch long, pink, furless, and with eyes still shut tight. Despite its microscopic size, this little mite is a trooper. Its forelimbs are the only things somewhat developed enough to help it find its way and survive. But here's the most surprising part. Contrary to popular perception, the joey is born outside the pouch, then, on instinct alone, crawls through its mom's fur up into her pouch, all on its own. The mom helps by licking a trail of saliva from her vulva to the pouch, so the joey can sniff its way there. Once it's all snuggled up in the pouch, it latches onto a nipple and starts feeding on nutrient-rich milk.
This is beautiful. We've got the joey, we've got the skin, the lining of the walls, the blood vessels.
Inside the pouch, the joey starts transforming. Over the next several months, it develops fur, gets stronger, and its eyes open. After about 6 months, it starts popping its head out of curiosity. But full independence takes a bit longer. Around 8 months old, the joey begins to venture out more and may leave the pouch for good, only after a full year of nursing. Number 9. Baby stingray. Aren't baby stingrays just cute? But what if I told you that unlike other pups, they aren't born weak or defenseless? They kick off life fully on their own. They're born live, with no eggs, and are already swimming and hunting for themselves. Physically, these pups look just like mini versions of their parents. They have the same flattened, disc-shaped bodies made of cartilage, and have wide wing-like pectoral fins that they use to glide through water. They're only tinier and cuter. From the moment they're born, their fins help them glide and move gracefully. Their eyes sit on top of their head, and their mouths, gill slits, and nostrils are underneath. And let's not forget, they come with venomous stingers at the end of their whip-like tails, though they usually only use them defensively. Though their vision is limited, baby stingrays use electroreceptors to sense tiny electrical signals from prey like clams and shrimp buried in sand so they can run and hide. Even as pups, they're pretty good at blending in with their surroundings thanks to their flattened bodies and cryptic coloration. Number 8. Baby gundi. I'd like to think of a baby gundi as a miniature puffball built for desert life. Gundis give birth to pups that emerge fully furred with their eyes open and can regulate their body temperature right from birth. These pups typically arrive 2 at a time after a gestation of around 2 months, and they're weaned in just under 4 weeks and hit maturity in about 12 months. They have dense, silky fur that ranges from gray and buff to yellow-red, and their bodies are compact, with rounded heads, big eyes, and stubby legs. On their hind feet, they have little comb-like bristles between toes, hence the name comb rat that they use just for grooming their fur. Zoologists have found that their rib cage is also flexible, so they can squeeze into tight crevices to stay safe or warm. And guess what? These guys don't even drink water. They get all their hydration from the juicy bits of plants they munch on, because their kidneys are totally adapted to conserve and concentrate every drop they absorb. They are also into the whole family thing. They absolutely love colonies. You'd see them pile on top of each other for warmth, and you'd almost mistake them for snowballs. And since it's scorching in the desert, baby gundis learn quickly. They bask early in the morning, then retreat into shade when it's too hot, and come out again when temperatures dip. Guess all that cuteness isn't for nothing. Number 7. Baby panda. When you see an adult panda, you'd never imagine that their young would be this tiny and fragile. They are born just about the size of a stick of butter. That means the mother is roughly 900 times heavier than her cub. At first, these cubs are utterly helpless. Pink, nearly hairless, blind, and wrinkly. Absolutely nothing like the fluffy giants they'll eventually grow into.
The little tiny one on the end there is only a month old.
Over the next few weeks, their fur sprouts and the black and white markings gradually appear. By around a month, their coat looks more like what you'd expect from a panda. In those first few weeks, panda cubs don't venture far from their den. They can't walk or crawl yet and rely completely on their mother for warmth and feeding. She nurses them frequently, like 6 to 14 times a day, and sometimes only steps away for short forages. Between 3 to 4 weeks, they start crawling awkwardly, and by 1 month, their eyes begin to open, though they're still a bit blurry. Before that, they navigate only by smell, touch, and sounds. By 6 months, they can use their sharp little teeth to nibble into bamboo, though milk still remains a staple until about 12 months, and some even stay with mom up to 2 years. A lot of people don't know this, but panda mothers often give birth to twins, but when they're in the wild, they usually keep only the stronger one because milk is limited. Number 6. Dumbo octopus. Pretty sure you're thinking Dumbo isn't an octopus. Well, yes, but it looks like we've got a copycat on our hands.
Explode their brain.
Look at dust in my eyes.
Wrapping up.
Take a look at this tiny octopus with floppy elephant ear fins, like Dumbo himself, swimming into the darkest depths of the ocean. And here's the thing. These little hatchlings are nearly identical to their grown-up versions from the minute they emerge from their shells. All of that charm is there right away. Fins, tentacles, suckers, and big, gentle eyes are all fully formed. They're born ready. In fact, when scientists first filmed one swimming soon after hatching, they discovered it already had all it needed to explore the deep-sea world. Swimming, sensing, maybe even hunting tiny prey. What makes them even more special is those ear-like fins. They flap them gracefully to propel the octopus in water, almost like underwater wings. And they don't necessarily use their ink sacs like other octopuses, mainly because they live where light barely exists. For their diet, these octopuses typically eat crustaceans, worms, bivalves, and other small marine critters, basically anything they can pull in with their little webbed arms. Number 5. Baby lumpsucker. When you see these creatures for the first time, I'm sure you're thinking it's a squishy balloon with a suction cup on its belly, and that description isn't actually too far off. When newborn lumpsuckers hatch, they resemble tadpoles at first glance. Just like the baby stingrays, they come out fully ready for action. They have their developed pectoral fins and that adhesive pelvic disc to help them cling to surfaces even at this early stage. Right from hatching, baby lumpsuckers have key physical traits that define their family. They lack a swim bladder, so rather than staying buoyant, they rely on their suction disc to stick to rocks, seaweed, or floating debris. Did I forget to mention that male lumpsuckers are the best dads ever? After the female lays tens of thousands of eggs, the male guards and keeps them in shallow rocky crevices for weeks until they hatch. Now, during their first year or so, juvenile lumpsuckers grow really fast. Within just a few days, they're already a few inches long. Scientists have also discovered that they exhibit biofluorescence. They glow green when illuminated under certain light. One fun fact is that as they grow older, many lumpsuckers shift to a pelagic lifestyle, meaning they venture into open water, sometimes far from the seafloor, before eventually migrating back toward coastal areas to spawn. Even though lumpsuckers look awkward, juveniles are surprisingly active and can swim quickly when needed. Number 4. Falabella foals. Have you seen anything more adorable? Falabella foals look like tiny unicorns you can just pick up and throw in your pocket. When they are born, they're usually between 12 to 22 inches tall. They have sleek coats, slim legs, and those big friendly eye shapes that just make you want to cuddle them. As tiny as they are, they've got that elegant Arabian or thoroughbred look. They grow rapidly, and they usually reach full height by age 3, though that'll still only be about 28 inches. They even have fewer vertebrae than regular horses, usually 17 instead of 18, which helps give them that tiny, proportionate build. With good care, Falabellas can live up to 40 to 45 years, which is far longer than most full-size horse breeds. Despite how little they look, this breed traces back to Argentina. They were built over generations through selective breeding for resilience and proportion. Number 3. Baby platypus. If there was ever an animal that looked like nature accidentally hit shuffle on its biological makeup, it's the platypus. And its babies are even more interesting. A baby platypus, often called a puggle or platypup by the public, though scientists usually just call it a nestling, is one of the rarest and most unusual young animals in the world. When they first hatch, baby platypuses are really tiny. They are completely hairless, blind, and pink-skinned, looking more like little worms than the semi-aquatic adults they'll grow into. Unlike most mammals, platypus mothers don't have nippled. Instead, milk seeps through pores in her skin and pools in grooves on her abdomen, where the babies lap it up. Their nest is usually deep underground, often up to 30 meters long, and carefully blocked off by the mother with soil plugs to keep predators out and moisture in.
She was very, very thin, very weak. When we examined her, she had a nasty skin infection.
But be careful. These babies are harmless now, but when they get a little older, they develop venomous spurs on their hind legs, and they are powerful enough to cause severe pain in humans. Number 2. Baby tarsier. At first sight, you either think these guys are cute or they just freak you out a little bit. These tiny primates, native to Southeast Asia, are already small as adults, about the size of a human fist. So you can only imagine how small and delicate the newborns will be. You could even mistake them for a plush toy that came to life. And while some animals come into the world blind and helpless, baby tarsiers are born with their eyes wide open, and those eyes are enormous, aren't they? In fact, each eye is roughly the same size as the animal's brain, and this is because tarsiers will grow to be nocturnal hunters, and that eye size helps them spot insects in the dark. Even as babies, their gaze looks really intense, like they're staring into your soul. And yes, even baby tarsiers can leap. They're born with strong hind legs that will eventually let them jump distances over 40 times their own body length. By around 6 weeks, you'd think they start with fruits and leave, but because they're carnivorous, they go straight into a diet of crickets, beetles, and the occasional small lizard.
This one is 9 years old, Norris, and they live till they're about 20 years old.
Sadly, these adorable creatures face big threats. Tarsiers are extremely sensitive to stress, and in captivity, babies often don't survive if conditions aren't perfect. Number 1. Baby eye. After a gestation period of 6 months, adult eyes bring just one baby, and they start off small, weighing less than half a pound. These little ones are totally dependent on their mothers for quite a while, often staying tucked safely in nests for up to 2 years before venturing out on their own. Among their physical quirks, the most unique is their spindly middle finger, super thin and bony, built for extraction and occasionally nose picking. They've also got rodent-like incisors that grow continuously, just for gnawing at bark and cracking nuts. And let's not forget their giant owl-like eyes and bat-like ears that help them in their night hunting. While they are still infants, the mom builds a cozy nest in a tree hollow where the baby spends months growing safely. Unfortunately, these creatures are endangered and misunderstood. In Madagascar, superstition labels them as omens of bad luck or death, and some are even killed on sight. And there you have it, some of the weirdest, cutest, and most surprising baby animals you probably didn't know existed. Which one blew your mind the most? Drop it in the comments, and if you enjoyed this little wild ride, give this video a like and hit that subscribe button for more content. See you soon.